Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on your Grid, your global motorsport podcast. We look back on a weekend, not really packed, but there's plenty of action going on. There's redemption day for Marquez in MotoGP, Alpine joy in WEC, Raz Gatzliogo. He doesn't win all the races in World Superbike, and it's a NASCAR Classic in Kansas. But we're going to start off. You know what? Before we start off with a bit of Max Verstappen news, which probably everybody knows what it's going to be, let's say about the golf, because we are big sports fans. This is a motorsport podcast, but Ryder Cup this weekend, lots of tension. I don't know many sports where you see and feel the tension as much as you do in that, which in any sport. Can you think of any?
No, but it was tension all weekend on Sunday because, you know, the golf just was terrifying. I thought 8 o'clock in the evening we'd have won at least 2 points by then, and it went on, didn't it? You thought, oh, no, they're going to lose this. They're going to lose it.
I know.
And of course, all the American crowd, if any time to lose it, you really didn't want to lose one with all those horrendous. I mean, the Americans, population must be so embarrassed. You know, the golfers of America, unlike golfers around the world, it's an honest sport where you don't cheat and you respect everybody. It's one of those great sports with respect and honesty, and to have those idiots in the crowd, you know, just being so
but it's
stupid.
a minority always.
I know it's a minority, but it's a sad thing. Sad. It's like the football crowd turning up at golf. Yeah. It's a bit like that, really. You know,
there are very few sports in this world where you call your own things these days, like snooker, billiards, billiards, cricket. They don't do that anymore. They used to walk off if they clipped the ball. They knew they clipped the ball. Now they don't. They wait for the umpire. And golf was the other one. But anyway, let's go on to Max Verstappen. Let's motorsport news.
It starts with, in fact, before his race of the weekend he had, we'll mention in a minute, but it starts with after Azerbaijan. Lots of headlines. Oh, can Max now win the title? Is this the Red Bull comeback? I've worked it out. He's still 70 points behind with 7 races to go, and you get 7 points gap between the first and the second. So basically, 7 sevens only make 49. So it's a bit short, I think, of getting the 70. But obviously, the two McLarens knock each other off 3 races on the trot. Then he could come through and win. But I don't think he's going to win it.
He's not going to win. He's not going to win the Drivers' Championship. I know. And Red Bull are not going to win the Constructors' Championship.
No. But
it's a case of Lando or Oscar. And you still going Lando?
Well, just hopefully Lando. I mean, but to point out, you know, the winning. I mean, Max has never won at Singapore. Of course, Singapore this weekend, and so far the McLaren. Because last year Lando came first, and Max was second, and Oscar was third, which would be a great result this weekend. Again, please. But it does seem Lando's got a little bit over. He's got half a second over Oscar at street tracks because he won at Monaco. He didn't crash as much. He didn't hit the wall as much as Oscar in Azerbaijan. So I'm hoping for another Lando win this weekend, and I'm hoping Max comes second, and that Australian bloke finishes somewhere else.
Oh no, I want Oscar to be 1-2 with Lando. Well, let's see where it goes. But Max Verstappen was winning. He wasn't Formula One.
He was.
But just showed his class again, just jumping in a random 296
can you tell
Ferrari.
Me, can you pronounce to me what the event was he was racing in?
No.
Oh, I knew you couldn't, could you? It was the Langstrecke Championship, or Longstreck. How do I get a German accent? This is Langstreck. Langstreck. Do you know what Langstreck means?
I don't actually. No.
Good.
What is it?
Long distance. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So it's a 10-round championship run only around the Nürburgring. Fantastic racing for the drivers to do. You know, maybe not great for spectators all the time, but fantastic to be a part of. All sorts of different classes, and obviously Max was in the top class in his Ferrari 296. And I think Max said, "Oh, I'm ashamed we had a bit of trouble in qualifying." They still qualified third.
Yeah.
And he was in the lead, I think, by the first corner. I don't know about first corner. I don't know how
he was. It was a funny first corner. It was a bit of carnage on the first corner. I saw it. In typical Max, he did the exact same. I'm not saying it was a bad move actually, but he just so late on the brakes. went very, very deep into the corners, wide in the corner. I'm sorry, right-hander, and just that was it. In the lead, and it's bloody brilliant, really.
Well, it's lovely he's doing it. And he's in a Ferrari, when he
Yeah,
drives a Red Bull and he's racing a Ferrari, which must be what, a 296, along with a British co-driver, this Brit that's with him, Chris Lullum. It was quite an interesting thing. He was quite a karting star, Chris, about 10 years ago or more. Probably couldn't afford to go racing. And he's been a big esports champion, winning
that's
lots
right.
of stuff. And of course, has esported with Max. I think they won the Le Mans 24 Hours esport together. But he started doing more car racing because he dominated one of the not Ginetta Championship. Maybe it was a Ginetta Championship, or was it Radical? There's a Radical Championship, and he won 16 out of 18 races. That was about 4 years ago, and that sort of got him into racing real cars. And he's now employed racing for the Verstappen team, I think, in this Langstrecke series. So great pairing, great drive from him, and wonderful story, isn't it? Wonderful.
It's a really good story. And Max, I think he even said something about people like me that he's going to have to get some more haters because lots of his old haters are now becoming his fans. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Still not how he drove or how he expects everyone to get out of his way. But big respect for Verstappen now, though.
But anyway, really looking forward to Singapore because I think this Max attack he's going to be there or thereabouts the rest of the season. So
of course he is.
It's going to spice up him getting between the McLarens every race or ahead of the McLarens. It's going to make it all the more interesting. So no real single-seater racing last weekend, but it was the MotoGP is the headlines really from last weekend over in Motegi in Japan, when Marc Marquez finally got his redemption. And we knew he was going to win the championship. He's dominated this on his factory Ducati. There's still 5 rounds to go. And he clinched the title with 2 second places at Motegi. But the emotion he poured out, and this is, you're always quite surprised. You think he's hamming it up or acting it or, But here was a man that he won, He won 6 out of 7 MotoGP titles from 2013 to 2019. So he was so dominant. You forget how dominant he was in his Honda. He had this horrible accident at the beginning of 2020, on the first round of 2020, had this huge high side and broke his humerus, the big humerus bone. And he had all these operations and he kept on coming back and showing a bit of promise, then falling again, and then back to the surgeons. I mean, the pain he's been through since the beginning of 2020, so that's 5 years ago. And he got dropped by Honda at the end of 2014 or 2013. And he then picked up a ride with the satellite Ducati team, Gresini. So he sort of came back almost as a privateer because nobody else was employing him because he was so injured. But eventually, when it was 2022, he had an operation where they rotated the bottom. So it was fixed in its normal line, and they broke it again and turned it a bit. I wrote down, what is it? It's called a rotational humeral osteopathy or something. So literally rotated the arm, and finally it made him able to use his right hand and right wrist as he had done 5 years ago.
Wow.
So to have gone through that pain, he must have often thought, my career's over, I'm never going to be winning ever again. And so the emotion that poured out was really amazing. And so he's won the 2025, and he's now equal with Valentino Rossi with 7.
Wow.
But they still haven't caught. He's one behind Giacomo Agostini, who's at 8 top class Premier Championship wins. So yeah, a very exciting weekend.
That's a record that's possibly going to be broken. Hang on, we started with golf, and I've got a golf story because there's a very good golfer, South African lad. He won many tournaments. Tim Clark, his name was, and he couldn't rotate his arm that way. So if he went to a toll booth, put his hand out to get the money. So he'd just say, "Throw the money in." And they would look, just throw it in. It's okay. So, funny little story on the rotational thing.
Couldn't his left arm stretch far enough then?
Wow, possibly, yeah. But,
no, fair. But just one more thing about the race in Japan, being very emotional for Marquez. It was also an amazing happy Ducati camp because Pecco Bagnaia, the champion in 22 and 23, they've almost sacked him at Ducati. He's been pathetic. He's been finishing 10th and didn't know what to do, and he's been dropping back in the pack. Well, after the last round, wherever it was, they had a test. Where were they down? Were they last weekend? They were testing somewhere, which I'm trying to look for now. Aragon, I think they were. No, it wasn't. Somewhere else.
No one cares.
So he fiddled with Ducati settings, and out of the blue, he's found something after complete embarrassment and disgrace for about 8 championship rounds. And he got a pole, he won the sprint, and he won the Grand Prix. So he beat Marquez hands down in the sprint and the Grand Prix. So he was happy as well. So the whole Ducati camp was in absolute euphoria. A quick Moto2 Moto3. Jake Dixon had a good run to second. Couldn't catch the runaway winner, Daniel Holgado, the Spanish kid that's looking very good. Rookie winning GP Moto2. Moto3 was won. That wasn't won by. Yes, it was Diego Marriera. No, he finished third. He didn't win. Closed up on championship with Manuel Gonzalez. It was a great race. Moto3 is always good. I'm saying the wrong names. It was won by David Munoz. What I'm saying was Marrera was catching the championship leader, Gonzalez, in Moto2. Moto3 was won by the Spanish David Munoz, but the championship leader, Jose Antonio Rueda, finished second to keep a big championship lead. So he's looking like the Moto3 champion, but Moto2 not quite so settled. I must have that. I've done the sorry motorbike people.
Can we move on to WEC?
It's all these Spanish names. I can't get them all right each time. Yes,
well,
WEC.
A lot better
WEC had a very entertaining 6-hour round, penultimate round of the World Endurance Championship over at Fuji.
Where's next then? Not for WEC.
They have to wait till the. Where do you think the last championship? Where do you think someo's bought to
Qatar,
have the last championship? I think it's Qatar. It's actually
Qatar's a start, isn't it?
Bahrain.
Yeah.
So they'll go round and round for the final round of the championship in front of 1,000 people.
I don't think Bahrain's too bad, but you should have a big crowd.
That's a good track. We have a big crowd. So I'm sure the Japanese were there in force. Fuji's not the same brilliant track that I used to race. It used to be so high speed, really good, fast corners, but they just broke up the last half with about 15 corners instead of 2, which always annoys me. But it was a spectacle. They had 2 full course yellows, 3 full course yellows, 2 full safety cars, big shunts for the Aston Martin of Tom Gamble and a big shunt for the BMW Rafael Marciello. So showing how difficult it is out in those when you're weaving through the traffic. And the interesting thing about poor Tom's crash, not blaming him on its life, but is cold tyres out of the pits. And all the Formula One drivers, we can't do that. It's too hard. Whereas to me, it's something that's another skill for a driver,
Absolutely.
See who Verstappen would be brilliant.
Exactly.
He'd come out on cold tyres.
Exactly.
The poor old Tom, he came out the pit lane at Fuji, probably trying to get up to speed as quick as possible. Huge right-hand hoop, almost a hairpin, wide, long hairpin. He ran off there because the thing wouldn't turn. Came back on again on the way out of that corner. A couple of GP3s were alongside him, so he dodged them. And then a Porsche dive bombed up the left. It was overtaking him on hot tyres. Then he tried to stay inside a GT3 at the next long left-hander, still not up to grip. And the thing just got away from him. And it's the classic thing now, because Marciello's crash was the same. He caught a back marker. You have this opposite lot, don't you? And then they always overcorrect, because these cars are so downforce obsessed that as soon as you put the correction on, you get all your grip back in an instant, and you've still got the opposite lock on. So you actually spin the wrong way. And unfortunately for Tom, happened to an Aston Martin as well, GT3 Aston Martin right alongside him. So he clouted that and took the front corner off. And Marcello's crash was similar. He got slightly blocked by a GT car and went the wrong way. But it was just a good race. There's still, with all these pace cars and stuff, there were 12 cars still on the lead lap after, 3 hours, 4 hours? 6 hours. 6 hours of racing, and there were still 12 of them on the lead lap. And the happy story was Alpine. Alpine took their first win ever in all this hypercar series. Again, a little bit of balance of performance changes. They were given 8 more horsepower before Fuji. And you sort of get worried, don't you, that they think, they haven't won for a while, let's help them. But a bit like, when Cadillacs dominated Brazil.
Peugeot,
they're suddenly going to win. You sort of think, they're trying to keep all the manufacturers happy. But that actually is not fair, because Cadillac were first and second on the grid. So they were still staying quick, but didn't do so well in the race. And the winning Alpine was 9th fastest in qualifying. So it's a proper old endurance race where they battled through, maybe got lucky with safety cars. Often happens, if it suits your pit stop window,
Absolutely.
then it really helps. And Aston Martin were third on the grid, the one that didn't crash, and it finished fifth. So again, the Valkyrie now getting up amongst them. So a lot of manufacturers. Peugeot finished second, Porsche third and fourth. Ferrari still and Toyota still seem to be doomed to be not allowed to win. You can't
they're
win.
sandbagging. They're sandbagging until
for what? One more. That doesn't start till next year. Sandbagging is over. There's only
doesn't it get carried
left.
over? Doesn't it get carried over?
No, I don't think so, because I think they're allowed winter changes. Best Ferrari qualified sixth. Best Ferrari to finish was ninth. So, but yeah, really entertaining.
It might be sixth and ninth, but they're the best looking cars. Yeah, they're beautiful. Tiff, there was shock at Aragon. Shock.
Yes.
Horror.
Can you believe it?
I can't believe Razgatlioglu didn't win every race.
He won one. He only won one. It seems to be something of a Ducati track, because I think most of the races, like the top five, were like 4 Ducatis versus Razgatlioglu on his BMW. And yes, he managed to win the second race, but Nicola Mulaga, who of course dominated the first half of the season, was championship leader by a long way. He managed to win 2. So he's closed the gap to Razgatlioglu with 2 rounds to go, but I don't think he's going to catch.
No.
I think. So anyway, yeah, joy for the Ducatis against the dominant BMW for a change. But a really good race. Sunday night, NASCAR, after I watched the golf live, because I couldn't leave the telly.
Yeah, same.
Once we'd finally won the golf, I fast-forwarded through a really entertaining Kansas Speedway, 1.5 mile, 180 mile an hour average, really wide open model oval where they can go 3 wide, go high, kissing the wall, they're bouncing off the wall at 160, 70 miles an hour. Toyotas will continue to dominate. I think they've won the last 4 races in this playoffs. This is round 2 of 3 of them cutting it from 12 to 8. But the Chevrolets getting closer. The Hendrick Chevrolets, led by Kyle Larson, battled up front for most of the race. And it was just fabulous. They were overtaking slowly in restarts and the usual crashes going on. It was just fast, good, clean racing at 180 miles an hour. There's one big shunt that's on all Twitter, I think, when Zane Smith, he got trapped against the wall and somehow his car ended up on its side with the bottom of the car up against the wall. And it then just ran the wall. He's doing 150 miles an hour now on his side. But it's so spectacular because it goes around the wall for about half a mile, it looks like. And of course, the driver's on the left, so he must have been about a foot from the sparks and things. He was fine. He was not injured at all, but a very spectacular crash.
Touch wood, cars are so safe these days, aren't
nowadays. But anyway, so that led, because that was right about 5 laps before the finish, and it led to one of these green-white checker 2-lap sprints to the finish. And Dirty Denny was up front there on the front row of the restart. He had been leading and dominating. He had no power steering. On the last pit stop before the crash on the side pit stop, his pit crew lost him 5 places because the jack man didn't get his jack under. Little things like that, you see, he could be dominating. And he started 5th, but he came back to the front. And alongside him, leading the way for the final run, was Bubba Wallace. And Bubba Wallace drives a Toyota that's owned by Denny Hamlin. So Denny Hamlin drives for the Joe Gibbs racing team, which was a controversy last week when the young kid wouldn't let him buy. So now he's dicing side by side 180 with Bubba Wallace driving for his own team that's called 23XI, for whatever reason that is. Anyway, on the last lap heading for the finish line, Denny still wants to win so much that he clobbered Bubba, put them both up wide up against the wall, and the Henrik Chevrolet of Chase Elliott snuck underneath and led to the line by half a car length in a spectacular finish. And there were then 4 Toyotas across the line behind him, and Kyle Larson came through. That would have been 6th. So it was a sort of Hendrick Chevrolet sandwich with 4 Toyotas in the middle. But yeah,
I don't know why it's called 23XI, but it's owned by Michael Jordan, who was number 23, famously. So was
that's a 23.
Yeah, so was David Beckham 23 after him. So XI is 11, but I don't know where that comes from.
I'm glad
2311.
Very impressed with your research there. That's very good. I like that. So that's the next round is the Roval next weekend. So it's a road course so we all hope Shane Van Gisbergen is not in the playoffs anymore. He'll be looking forward to a win at the Roval in Charlotte. And he actually finished 10th last weekend. He was up in the top 6. Van Gisbergen's finally getting the oval sorted, which obviously was very new to him when he came over. So next season, we look forward to Shane Van Gisbergen not just winning the street races, but also winning an oval race.
Yeah, it'd be good, actually. He's obviously a very talented driver. Tiff, we rattled through this today, which is good. But I was going to ask you, when we're talking 2 different bike races, I know you can ride a bike, but have you ridden a bike around a track?
Well, yes.
Yeah? Well, I don't know, do I?
Yes.
I've read your book.
I got my knee down, didn't I? You know, I was up at Donington. If I was being chased by I was being led by a Honda instructor. I forget his name. He's quite a famous superbike rider. Who was my man. We were doing it for 5th gear. Me and Vicky Butler Henderson were both on bikes, Hondas.
Oh, nice.
And it was amazing because I slowly, he was leading me at a pace, that he thought I could handle. And he was really impressed with me through the slower bends, when he says, but you can't follow me down Crater curves. And this is something I'd never understood. So centrifugal force. Is it centrifugal force? Rotational force.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
So the faster you're going, the bike, like when they fall off, the bike doesn't want to lean over. It's not centrifugal. What's the force of that way around? Rotational.
Centrifugal force.
It is.
That's what it is, yeah.
So the faster you are, the less the bike wants to lean. So I'm going down Crater curves, the long right-hand bit, leaning a bit, sort of being a bit brave. But then I've got to go to the left, haven't I? Because the end of the Crater curves is a left. But I couldn't get it to go quicker because I didn't realise how much physical force you have to do to get your right buttock over your left buttock. And you've really got to lean into it 120, 30 miles an hour because it doesn't want, all it wants to do is go straight. And the quicker you're going, but eventually it was a bit of a full story. There was a reason for what happened next because I got my knee down early on. I was very impressed. I got my slide. And once you get your knee down for the first time, I've got it really good through the old hairpin, a quick corner at the bottom of Crater curves.
Yeah.
And once you've got it down, you want to push your knee into the tarmac to make sure your slider gets really broken. And you almost don't want the corner to end because once you're on the knee, it's a great moment. Anyway, but I didn't have the sound pack on me for doing the story of getting my knee down. So I thought, okay, I've got to replicate that moment. And having got the pack on me and the microphone up and out I go for another lap to say, and here I go down to... It started to drizzle with rain. So I go down into Redgate Corner and now I'm leaning over and I'm going to get I'm getting so close to get my knee and I'm going to get my... The whole lot went from underneath me. Mainly because I'd cracked the throttle open. The Honda guy was following me as my instructor. And he says he was almost shouting through his helmet, don't open the throttle, don't open the throttle. But I mean, so the back I spun the grip off the back wheel and gracefully slithered out of the old of Redgate on my bum. So my first day on a track with a bike, not only did I get my knee down, I got my shoulder down, my arse down, get everything down in the end. But also you get horrible clutch pump, wrist pump.
I had that. I did an off-road day on a Yamaha 250. Yeah. I can't really ride a bike, but off trials bike. In North Wales, there's a big Yamaha centre up there. Absolutely brilliant. I thought I broke both my femurs or something. Not femurs.
Well, I had to stop riding for a while at lunchtime because literally the muscle
I was right
goes,
on the day,
and you can't twist it. You can't do anything with your right hand. Your right hand goes numb. Because a lot of riders have these operations mid-season. They cut open the tendons, don't they?
Same as anything. If you're used to it, right?
Really
finally, before we go on to what's on next week, we've already mentioned Singapore, but finally, 5th and 6th of December. What are you doing? Where are you?
No idea.
We've cracked a nod with Barbados Exotics, our mate Joe from Exeter, for the Caribbean Cup, Caterham Caribbean Cup in Bushy Park. I know,
racing in Bushy Park.
Yeah.
Whatever's in my diary, I shall cancel it.
It's not a paid gig. It's not paid.
Sunshine. That's why I did a Top Gear Live. Did I do Top Gear Live at Bushy Park?
Bushy Park's brilliant. I've been there a few times. I went to a track day there not long ago. This year, I think. Yeah, it was this year. Went to a track day and in one of Joe's Caterhams and shorts and a t-shirt on a track day. No one, it's just
no one cares.
Of course, Zay Maloney, that's his family from there, so they do care, but they're just super chilled. That's why we're all so stressed, aren't we?
Zane racing in Formula E. He was in Formula E. I don't know where he's ended up.
No,
was he back in GT racing? Maybe I don't
know.
Formula E,
still Formula E.
I don't think he's got the right drive. He might be reserved.
Oh, it's the new season starting, isn't it? And
I don't know.
They did this silly 25-26 season. Okay, what's on next week, Dad?
Well, Singapore, of course. So this is the big Grand Prix. And the Formula One ladies are going down there. It's their last round. That's not their last round. They get a good trip, don't they? Those Formula One Academy girls. Singapore this weekend and then Vegas for their last round of their championship. I don't know who's leading the championship either at the moment. Is it Dorian Pan? I haven't looked that up. I've lost touch with the Formula One Academy girls. They're there. MotoGP's continued in their Far East, go to Indonesia with obviously the Moto2, Moto3. But Moto3's virtually won, so it's only the Moto2 Championship. Not much excitement points-wise in MotoGP, but obviously spectacular racing. The NASCAR's already said go to the part oval, part road course at Charlotte, which is always a good push and shove racing going on. But then really back in Britain, it's all kicking off this weekend. The final round of the BTCCCCs at Brands Hatch, the glorious Brands Hatch, where surely Ingram's going to win it.
Yeah.
Tom, Sutton's too far behind, really, unless the trouble is the BTCCCC format. If you crash out of round one, you're on the back of the grid for round two, and then you might get up into reverse grid, 12th or 10th place to get a result in round three. So that's the main thing Ingram has to do, is not retire from the first race. And from that moment on, he should be home and dry.
Yeah. He's not going to. He's going to still push.
He never stops. He's great. Donington for the final round of the GT, British GTs. If you're a GT fan, also the final round of the GB3s, where of course Abby Pulling, the Formula One Academy winner, is about 10th in the points, I think. So she's not going to be winning that this season. So that's at Donington, GTs and single-seaters, and British Superbikes, penultimate roundup at the glorious, glorious Alton Park. So motorsport spectators in Britain are completely spoilt. In the south, you can go to Brands. In the Midlands, you go to Donington. And if you're up north, you go to Alton Park for some Superbikes. Isn't it lovely? That's why I like doing our little podcast, because it's the variety. People obsessed with Formula One are missing, what else is going on.
Well, people do say that it's like listening to Motorsport magazine on a Tuesday morning on the way to work or whatever, which is great. But the Formula One those boys get the big numbers. We don't.
I know.
And I think it's because we are so varied. Just to answer your question, Dorian Pan is 127 points. So do you know?
Yeah, but who's behind that? Who's chasing?
Who's WEU? WEU. I don't even know the abbreviation.
I'm sure she's also the Ferrari Academy girl. Woug. Sorry.
CHA? Here you go. Let's see how good your Formula One Academy is. CHA? CHA.
Chloe someone, the American girl.
Chambers.
Chloe Chambers.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she's third, is she?
She's third, miles behind though. Lloyd, fourth. PAL. Who's PAL?
Palmowski. Now, I thought she was the British girl. I thought she was going to be a real contender.
She was going to do. Yeah, she started.
I saw she had a bit of pushing and shoving early, and that didn't go her way. So she's had a bit of a shoulder dropping time. So Ellen's ahead of her.
One more. GAD.
Oh,
this is my point. So we know motorsport and we follow this and we like motorsport, but who knows what those abbreviations are? It's such a silly thing to do. Put their name there, make it a little bit bigger. It's just some designers said, "Oh yeah, it looks nice having 3 letters."
Even worse, on motorsport.com, you look at the World Endurance Championship results. You're looking for the GT3 winner, and it says their class because you've got hypercar, GT3. It's got the name of the team and not what car they're in. I kid you not.
Crazy. And that's motorsport.com.
Motorsport.com. The leading... I use it
Do you
all the
know
time
James Elson at motorsport.com? Send him a bloody email.
Oh.
You did that article with him on the list, didn't you?
Oh, was that motorsport.com?
Yeah.
I might remind him also the girl that talked about all the Goodwood drivers. They had the Grand Prix drivers. They had the Le Mans drivers. Which group was I in? The touring car drivers. I mean, no insult to the touring car boys, but,
But you could have been the only one to have done all three.
Yes.
There you go. And probably the only one that's been there at every members meeting or every revival since
every
the start,
revival
27
meeting.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all I get is being one of a group of touring car drivers.
Which is, in good esteemed company.
Well, no, it is esteemed.
Drop me a line, James Elston, motorsport.com. See you next week.
Cheers, Paul.